What's up, guys? This is PelicanMan here. We are once again going to run a league with our Sun and Moon list. This is the same list I ran last time, as inspired by a list that was submitted to me. Mana base stayed the same, still got 8 target removal spells here with a 9th in the cast out, 5 sweeper effects and the 3 angers and the 2 Wrath of Gods, 8 prison pieces and the blood moons and chalices, 4 summons to ramp it out. And we've got our win cons in Nahiri, Chandra, Gideon and Hazaret with an Emrakul for our Nahiri ult. So the only thing that changed from the league we played last time, in the sideboard we've still got 3 Leyline, 3 Rip, 2 Stony and a Wear Tear, 2 Chandra Awakened Inferno, 2 Damping Sphere, and 2 Spyglass. So previously we had 1 Spyglass and 1 Ensnaring Bridge. Wasn't a fan of the Ensnaring Bridge, so we're going to run it like this. So stick around, we'll be back shortly for match number 1. Alright, here we go. Let's get match 1 underway with Sun and Moon. Awesome. If on the die roll, we'll go on the play. Let's see what we've got. Turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Blood Moon. This hand's kind of perfect. We're going to keep. Kind of tempted to start with the Arid Macer and fetch up basic plane, so that if we draw another Arid Macer, like exactly Arid Macer for turn 2, we can make sure we get double white. But I think I like the option more of play this, so we have more chance of drawing our 3rd land. I'm not sure, honestly. No, let's go for the planes. Planes, exile Simeon, cast the Chalice. It's a pretty good turn 1. I'll take that. Okay, so they're going to get to play around Blood Moon here with their fetch land. But I think that's still the course of action here. Play out the Blood Moon, pass back to them. So we're in kind of a rough spot now. We've got the Helix and the Anger. We kind of want to draw action, but also we want to draw lands, so not ideal, but we'll play it out, see how it goes. I'm hoping this Chalice and this Blood Moon do enough work for us. I mean, if our opponent's an Uro deck and they manage to get green and blue mana, we're in a lot of trouble, which is what I expect of seeing the Misty Rainforest. Getting the Forest, though, most Uro decks are control shells, so I would assume they would lean towards blue, unless they have Basic Island already in their hand. They don't have second land. Okay, that's good for us. Discard Arbor Elf. Okay. Oh, so yeah, they've got a hand of 1-drop, so they're probably... I'm probably leaning towards saying they're a Ponza style deck. That they were hoping to turn 1 Arbor Elf into like turn 2 Utopia Sprawl, and then the 1 land is actually really fine for them. So, despite us being constrained on mana, I'm not going to throw a Helix at them here. That's good. Drawing lands is really good. It means that any of our threats are live top decks. So yeah, I'm going to hold on to this Helix because I feel... Okay, they're just same as discarding it turn step, I guess. Because yeah, I feel like they have a very real chance of drawing out of this and playing a threat, at which point I think I want Helix. There is also the option of us drawing Hazaret, which means we want to get close empty-handed, which is part of the reason I played out that land there. So like, worst case, we draw another land, we can play Hazaret and then play a Helix kind of thing. Well, they haven't drawn out of it, and we've kind of drawn nothing but lands. Another Chalice. That doesn't really do anything for us. I mean, Chalice on 3 is probably good against them. I think I'm going to pass through again. This is really unfortunate. Because I kind of feel bad for my opponent here. It kind of feels like I'm screwing around with them a bit because, I mean, I'm just sitting here doing nothing, but I want to be doing something. Playing at the land here because if I draw Hazard, I can play Hazard, Helix, and Chalice. Oh, man. This is awful. Okay. Nahiri is a good draw. I am going to leave up the Helix mana. My opponent potentially just scoops this. We will discard this Chalice, because both the other cards are good if our opponent manages to start drawing good. Gemstone Caverns I'll hold in case I don't draw anything to discard next turn. Okay, so we've basically got 2 turns. The Emrakul attack should be close to good enough. Okay. I think I'm pretty willing to untap here. Yeah, because I kind of want to throw this Helix at their face, so I'm pretty happy to just anger to deal with that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can Hazard and Helix. So well, we can Hazard and Anger actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. No, we can't. Oh, without drawing another red tusk. So I'm going to discard the Gemstone Caverns. It is a red tusk. I have a Blood Moon. I don't know what I was thinking there. Okay. Play out the Hazard. Helix the Scoos. Yep, cool. That's enough for the concession. Alright, so pretty sure they are Ponza, which is a tough matchup. Damping Sphere is interesting. It's not really something I've considered here before, but they do have potentially have Blood Braids. It turns off their what's it called? Utopia Sprawl. Stony Silence, Rip, and Leyline don't really do a lot. So let's look at what's not doing much in our deck. I think Chalice is good. I think Blood Moon needs to come out, honestly. I think everything else looks really good, so Damping Sphere is pretty easy to bring in. Wear Tear is pretty easy to bring in. The choice is, do I bring the Spyglass for Planeswalkers, or do I bring in a Chandra for the late game? The problem is, I feel like Chandra is like +2 isn't that good in the matchup, but her sweeper abilities are good, but they're potentially a mana denial deck of some sort. So I think it's safest to bring in the Spyglass. Can I make room for both Spyglasses? Do I need to? Probably not. I mean, I could see like trimming a Simian for the second Spyglass. That doesn't sound... they're a mana denial deck, so it does sound a little crazy actually. Maybe like trim a Chalice is fine. I feel like having Wrath of like 2 Wrath of Gods 3 in this matchup's really in favor for us. Let's see, what Spyglass targets do they have? It's basically Chandra. It's basically Chandra. So I think just one. Let's try one Spyglass to start with and see how that goes. Let's not keep our opponent waiting too long. I mean, I'm inclined to keep. I think I'm going to keep. This hand looks fine. See, this is a hand where the Simians don't look great. But I don't think they're awful. Like, being able to kill an elf on turn 1 would be really good. That was a pretty good draw. Just being able to control our draws is really nice. Another Bone Crusher I will keep. I think, yeah, the removal, the creature, it's all pretty good. Oh, opponent's got a Shockland here. I guess maybe they know that neither of it should have Blood Moon post board. It's gonna be like a Scoos or something. Cindervines, huh? Huh. Okay. Cinder vines. This is very interesting. I mean, I think it's good in this matchup. I don't think my opponent's wrong for bringing it in. Just trying to work out what I can do. I think, like, part of it is that second ability there, being able to destroy an artifact or enchantment I control to destroy some of my hate pieces. Come on, what have you got? Scoos? Sure. Pretty interested in just stomping this. What's my opponent thinking about? Maybe they're thinking about fetching now to be able to hold up Cindervine's activation or something. Okay, let's just get planes. Let's stomp here. I'm very curious. My opponent's got 3 cards left in hand. Is it worth not playing a Bone Crusher to kind of hold up my ability to Wrath? Okay. Looks like they do want to hold up Cindervine's activation. I think I just want to get a Bone Crusher into play, to be honest. I don't hate it because of the Cindervines. Doesn't play well into our Wrath, but I mean I've got 3 other creatures in my hand to back it up, so alright, 3 cards in hand from our opponent. I could see this being like a Chandra. Yeah, probably down-ticking on the Bone Crusher, I imagine. Up-ticking. Okay, that's brave. Bolting the Bone Crusher. Okay. That is fair. Helix. Okay. This is painful, but I am casting Helix here, so I think we're okay with that. Just get the Chandra off the table. This kind of works out, like they bolted my Bone Crusher, they spent the turn playing a Chandra, and now the impetus is kind of on them to build to the board, which works nicely for my Wrath. If they don't build to the board, it means that my Bone Crusher should be good. Bloodbraid Elf. Hitting Clothis, that's kind of rough. Clothis is a creature. Okay. I think I'm just getting another mountain here. Going to stomp Bloodbraid to get rid of it and then cast the Bone Crusher. Or maybe I cast it. No, they know about the Bone Crusher, so it is probably more correct to play the cards they know about in the Bone Crushers. If I end up having to Wrath one of them, I think it's fine because I have a backup one. My opponent's empty-handed now, which is really good. Hopefully these Bone Crushers can start turning the tide. Okay, they're exiling a Bone Crusher, so they're bleeding me for 2. Let's see what they drew. Ooh, something good. Bloodbraid into Seasoned Pyro. Not bad, opponent. Not bad. So, they're going to attack here. I'm going to chump block Clothis and then untap and Wrath of God. If I draw a land... Oh no, I could just simulate the Blood Crusher as well. The Bone Crusher. Lightning Helix, does that change anything? No. So they've got 2 cards in hand, so they could rebuild to the board, but I think this Helix is what I'm going to hope can deal with that. Imagine that. Top decking Bloodbraid into Season Pyro with an empty hand. That's insane. This Clothis is causing me issues. With that said, I have 4 Nahiris in my deck. Any of them would be good at dealing with this Clothis. Also have 1 cast out, which would be nice. We're waiting for our opponent to resolve their Cindervine's trigger here. Okay. Looks like we're good to go. So this also helps protect from what my opponent could have, those 2 cards. Just building to the board because I am on 7. It's kind of crazy though, like the Cindervines, like the combination of like the Utopia Sprawl, the Cindervines and the Cloths itself means that my opponent is very close to always being able to turn this thing online. Scoos, that's pretty good. Thankfully it doesn't turn on the Clothis. Yeah, there's plenty of creatures in graveyards. So do I offer the trade? I think I do. That means I get to hold up Lightning Helix. Ooh. Maybe I don't want to yield through the turn. I feel like I've made more misplays than I need to with the whole yield through turn thing. Yeah, so if a Helix now, they only get 1 more activation, which still kills this. So I think we're good with that. The Zeal Spires was actually a pretty okay draw. I mean, with how the clocks are, it's not great. Yep, so they'll eat something else instead. That's fine. Scoos is dead. Gets getting for 4 with Bone Crusher. Which that Helix goes back to 7, so they have to have exactly Bloodbraid here to punish us. Which has to be a top deck, because I feel like they would have gone for it last turn. What is this? This is Elder Gargaroth, okay. That's pretty good. Our opponent actually does 1, so we can't cast non-creature spells anymore. Not great. Yeah, let's go to game 3. That Bloodbraid top deck was nutty. So what did we learn? So Clothis is a problem, but not really much I can do about it. I've already brought in the Damping Spheres, like the Bloodbraid interaction and stuff, so there's not really a change I can make there. I mean, rest in peace for the Clothis and the Scavenging Ooze. Maybe we want to rest in peace. I've seen no form of land hate, so I actually want to cut a Simian here. Yeah, these are really iffy, but Clothis is so powerful against us that I think it's worth it. Yes, I would love to play first. Well, we would like lands, please. Looks better. Would love a Simian here for this Chalice, but we'll keep. I have to put a card on the bottom. Land feels the safest. Maybe it's Rip. Maybe it's Rip. No, I'll go with land, especially because I have Anger, so the second basic planes doesn't feel good. The Blood Moons are out in this matchup, so basic planes are even worse than they would normally be. They're milling to 5. Okay, they kept to 5, so we'll start with a tapped Sacred Foundry. I think next time we lead Chalice of the Void, that turns off more cards than Rest in Peace does. If they lead a Dork here, I might stomp it, which they didn't. Which leads me to believe they've kept less 1-drops. Needle Spires was a pretty fine draw. Because next turn, I think I'm happy to just play Rest in Peace and play a tap Needle Spires, or like maybe hold up Stomp. Chalice on 1 stopping our opponent from being able to bolt our Bone Crush is pretty big. Okay, let's see what our opponent's got for us on turn 2. Forest into Skoos, okay. I think I'm honestly still kind of happy to play Rip here. Maybe I just need to stomp this. No, I'll play Rip, because if they play a single other creature, I get to untap an Anger. And the Rip should do enough work to keep the Skoos from growing anytime soon. Yep, I'll accept 2 damage. Oh, they have no follow-up, huh? Huh. I kind of want Anger. Just to, like, force action, I guess. Because it means if I draw a land, I can stomp, play the Bone Crusher. Yeah, I think getting the Skoos off the board is just good. The other option is I play out. No, playing out the Bone Crusher can't be right. The other option is to stomp, but then I feel like it's better to hold the stomp because the mana's going to be wasted otherwise. Like, I'm better holding my 2 mana spell when I can, like, double spell. What's this? Yeah, they're stomping me, that's fine. They can't cast the Bone Crusher, okay. I think I'm happy with just playing out my Bone Crusher here. See what they can do about this. And I can start beating in if they can't do anything about it. If they play a blocker, I can Helix. Okay, they appear to be stuck on 2 mana. Utopia Sprawl, sure. Gets countered. Drawing of the Helix is nice. That Sprawl was kind of weird. Maybe our opponent forgot, maybe they were Chalice checking us on Moto for some reason. But, like, doesn't get the graveyard, so it's just kind of bad. Okay, Bone Crusher, sure. And we are just going to deal with that boy straight away. Yes, I take damage from targeting your Bone Crusher, but I gain a life back, and now you have no blocker. Double Helix. Awesome. I feel like we're very much in the driver's seat this game. It'll take a lot to lose from this point. Like, our opponent will have to top deck their 4th land to be able to, like... I feel like it takes, like, a Blood Radiant into a Colossus at this point. Colossus itself is still very good. We have our opponent on a virtual 6, so our attack drops them to 2. like Virtual 6 with these two helixes. But I mean, Colossus does nothing with this rest space in play. It's just the threat of this being a 4/5 is scary. Would have liked to draw a land there to attack with Needle Spires, but that's fine. I feel like I'm happy to just keep getting in here. So if I get to attack with Bone Crusher next turn, that should be game. Okay, 4th land. This is step 1 of our opponent getting back into this game. They've put themselves to 5. So whatever this is, I'm just going to double helix them in response. Okay, let's just... double helix them before they get to gain their Baloth life, and that is game. That was a pretty good draw from our opponents. Just lucky that we're able to double helix in response. That was match number 1 with Sun and Moon going 2-1 against Ponza, or red-green mid-range, I guess. Join us shortly for match number 2. Alright, we found an opponent. Let's get match number 2 underway. Won the Darl again. Lovely. We have some very impactful cards in Wrath of God and Anger of the Gods. We have an Ahiri, so we have a win condition. We have a Temple, so we get to scry. It's tough because we don't have a Chalice or a Blood Moon, but depending on the matchup, Anger or Wrath could be good. So on the play, I guess we'll keep. This will be interesting to test out because these are kind of the looser keeps this deck is capable of, because often I've said that you want to mulligan aggressively to your like Simian Spirit Guide into Chalice on turn 1 hands, or your aggressive Blood Moon hands. And like this is the kind of hand where we give away what we are, basically, by playing this Temple on turn 1. And oh yeah, they're playing a Thoughtseize. So they get to take an Ahiri and play around our sweepers, which kind of kills our hand a little bit, which is rough. But then again, this isn't a matchup where we really want to aggressively Blood Moon or Chalice, unless it's Prowess. This could be red-black Prowess. In which case they're probably looking at the Anger here. But I mean, we've got to bottom our 5th land, which is really good. Drawing a Chalice off the top would be very nice, obviously. So yeah, in previous builds, like my last build that I tested where I was running 25 lands, I kind of said that the mulligan from 7 to 6 is basically free and you get to aggressively mull looking for powerful hate cards. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This kind of happened in my last quest video where I kept calling like what the perfect draws were and somehow drawing them. So if they are Prowess, they're in a lot of trouble now. This Chalice is going to do a lot of work. They could even, well, they couldn't be Death Shadow because of the Black Cleave Cliffs. It looks like they're Jund, so they can Abrupt Chaos Assassin's Trophy this Chalice. They have a Goyf. And we have a Blood Moon. That's really good. So we get to turn off their mana. Then we should be able to untap and Wrath to deal with this Tarmogoyf. So we've kind of drawn perfect. We kept a hand that had none of this hate. And we've drawn perfect. Like, we couldn't play Chalice turn 1 anyway, so we'll just get gone in by hate. We drew it for turn 2. We drew the Blood Moon for turn 3. Okay, so the fact that our opponent's got no basics means that, yeah, I just want to Wrath here. Just get rid of this Goyf. Then next turn if I draw a land, I'll stomp then Bone Crusher. Otherwise, I'll just play out the Bone Crusher, I'm pretty sure. Yep, they've just got another mountain there. Awesome. Stomp the opponent. Play the Bone Crusher. But yeah, so what I was saying before, with 25 lands, we got to mulligan from 7 to 6 very aggressively looking for hate, because part of the problems this deck has sometimes is that it doesn't get enough mana into play because it has so many 4-drops. But with the 25 lands, that was pretty balanced. The list that I kind of copied and made my changes to make this list was 23 land with like 2 or 3 of the Canopy lands, ones you can sack to draw a card that like hurt you every time you tap them for mana, and it only had 3 simians, so that was well out of my comfort zone. But I'm sitting on 24 lands now with no cycle lands, no Canopy lands or anything. Just 24 pure mana sources. And oh, cool. That's game one under wraps. Okay, so spyglasses I want because they are Jund. Don't think I want Wear Tear. I don't mind Big Chandra. Definitely want Ley Lines. Whoops, get out of here, damn Big Sphere. And I actually kind of want Rips too, because things like Tarmogoyf, Crocs are. So, what don't we like? I think. Let's assume I'm not bringing in Chandra to start with, because this is a matchup where I really like cutting the simians. Because I basically like all of my cards to be threats. I can see cutting the Angers and just relying on my targeted removal in the Wrath of Gods. I don't hate that. And then I have to make one more change. It's probably trimming a Blood Moon. Yeah, I could even see cutting 2 Blood Moons potentially. There's really nothing I want to bring in. I think I still like the Chalices. So I could bring in the 2 Chandras, but again, like, it feels bad if I'm cutting simians, like trying to resolve this 6 mana spell. But if I get to resolve it, that's pretty good. I could see trimming like a Blood Moon and a Chalice. I don't hate that. Because they are Jund, so like Blood Moon doesn't hurt them as much. They can aggressively fetch for basics. And Chalice is less good. It basically is better on the play because I want to stop their hand hate, but I'm taking out the simians. And Leyline's trying to fill that role, so let's go big. Let's see what we get here. Leyline would be perfect. Double Chalice though. 5 land double Chalice? No, I don't think. I mean, if they have hand hate, this hand's just dead anyway. This is much better. Keep this. Bottom the Emrakul because it's the Emrakul. And we will put Leyline of Sanctity into play. And hopefully resolve the turn 4 Nahiri. So they kept 7. Let's hope they had a hand hate spell they can't play. Needle Spires is cool because we would have just played Iron Mesa and fetch for a tap Sacred Foundry anyway. We just wanted a tap land for turn 1. So I think turn 2 we play the Mesa, fetch and Helix if we need to. Otherwise we're fetching tap Sacred Foundry. Yep, so they've aggressively fetched for basics here, which could hinder their ability to cast some of the spells. Okay, drew a Mesa. Let's see if they want to do anything in my turn. Nope. Okay. This tells me that they probably have Wrenn and 6 in their deck, if they have the cycle land. Okay. Is this going to be a Liliana? Okay. Discard. I honestly want to discard one of these basics, I think. Let's discard the mountain. Just because this can pull more cards out of our deck. So I'm not interested in Helixing the Liliana here, because with my current hand, I'm not doing anything on my turn 3 anyway. That changes things. So I'll aim to fetch for another tap Sacred Foundry here. And this is tough. If I'd Helixed, I could stomp here to finish it off. Maybe I just wait a turn on the Nahiri. I'll also have to discard a card. So maybe I'm stomping the Liliana, discarding the Helix. So then next turn I can play out the rest of my hand. I can play the Plains, play the Nahiri, start upticking. Yep, there's Ren and 6. So I'm still going to stomp the Liliana here. Reason being is that she's getting closer ultimate, and I just want to slow that down a little bit. So we'll untap a Nahiri probably. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. That does slow down the Ren 6. The problem is I can't like play that and play out my Bone Crusher. I could play it out, hold the Plains, discard it to Lily, hope to Nahiri next turn. No, I think I just need to get Nahiri into play. We will tick up, choose not to discard. They're going to take up their Lily anyway and make us discard it, but I don't see any point in like putting a different card in my hand to be discarded to the Liliana. If you draw a land, our Native Spires get to start attacking. If not, we get to play Bone Crusher. The unfortunate thing is this Liliana can keep the Bone Crusher at bay. But the nice thing is Liliana dies to Needle Spires if they don't progress their board. And if I draw a land, which with Nahiri should be pretty easy. Although there are still 4 tap lands left in my deck. Okay, they're just aggressively drawing here. Okay. Is this Tarmogoyf? Rest in peace would have been nice. Helix. What does Helix do? Not a lot. Okay, so I'm going to discard this Helix because Sweep is better, Rest in Peace is better, Land would be better so I could actually block with Needle Spires. Basically, I just want to get Nahiri's ult off next turn. So this kind of forces them to downtick their Ren, plus we're getting rid of their graveyard. So their Goyf can't threaten Nahiri anymore. Their Renetix has to downtick on the Nahiri. Oh wait, Liliana can't fight my Bone Crusher, sorry, because her neg 2 targets. So she can't target me to sack a creature because I have the ley line. That's an interaction that I always forget. Okay, the discard is Superfluous Ren and 6. What have you got for me next, opponent? Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought I had a Charles on one for some reason. Of course they can bolt my Nahiri. That's fine, opponent. And then they uptick Ren and 6 still. I suppose they don't need a downtick on Nahiri anymore, but still. Yeah, I just have to discard this extra Nahiri that we've drawn. Hope to find land. Spyglass, that's really good. You're a 6, you're a 7. You target. Easy choice. Easy money. Just a couple of bolts, okay. Thankfully Nahiri's not in trouble because she will just go down to 1 if both of those bolts cast today. Also they only have 1 red source. It would be lethal if they had a second red source and were able to activate this Ren now, but they no longer can. We've been drawing pretty okay. I mean, they are going to keep Nahiri from ultimating for a fair while now. But a land is still a really good draw because it lets us start threatening this Liliana with our Needle Spires. What do they discard? Verdant Catacombs. They're still holding double bolt. Okay, we'll just discard that. No need for a second Leyline of Sanctity right now. It's a tap land, but it means Needle Spires get to start attacking next turn. Also, we get to freshen up our next draw. No, thank you. And now that we have nothing else to do, we can cast this Bone Crusher. Which our opponent's probably just going to throw a bolt at, I'm guessing. And then untap and throw a bolt at my Nahiri. Which is still good for us. Like, we're still very close to ultimating this Nahiri. Okay, that just went at the Nahiri. That's fine. Maybe they threaten Bone Crusher now. They're certainly thinking about something. So they have we know they have a bolt in hand. They've just drawn 1 fresh card. Assumedly they want to keep upting their Liliana so that eventually if they get rid of this they can neg 6 on me and still have Liliana around. Although honestly Liliana ulting on me is probably going to be game breaking at any point. Well, they're in the tank, that's for sure. Looks like they may just be passing turn back to me. Yep. Chalice on 1. Is that better than attacking with Needle Spires? I don't think so. Chalice Someone stops future bolts, but they've already played 2 bolts and they've got the third. And if I play this, they're just going to play it in response. So let's just discard this. Hazard it. That's a good draw. That is better than attacking with the Needle Spires. Okay, opponent's letting us go to combat. We're just going to attack Liliana because the only way I see losing here... actually, let's attack them with the Bone Crusher. Attack Liliana with both. The only real way I see losing here is them having an answer to this Leyline at this point. So they have a bolt, so they can bolt Bone Crusher. The Tarmogoyf can chump block Hazard it. So then if they have an abrupt cast like we do with Leyline, their Liliana's good again. But they've had to trade like a bunch of resources for it, and also no matter what pile they split, whatever pile this Nahiri's in, that's probably what I keep, and I ultimate and get Emrakul. So my opponent's not in a great spot here. They only have 6 permanents. Okay. Just make sure, take a little bit of time to make sure we get the right thing. We'll get the Emrakul. Go to combat. Yep, nice. And that's match number 2 in the bag. So we're currently 2-0 with Sun and Moon. Match number 3 coming right up. Alright, we found an opponent. Time for match number 3. We won the die roll yet again. It's our lucky day today, I think. I'm gonna keep, just because this is kind of the perfect hand to test Hazard properly. This is a turn 3 Hazard potentially. So we're gonna lead Arid Mesa. See if our opponent makes us fetch and Simeon to Helix something. If not, I'm just going to get us up to Sacred Foundry. Wooded Foothills, alright. Wooded Foothills and pass. Okay, another fetch land it is. Back to our opponent. The only thing that punishes us here really is drawing more lands. Well, our opponent seems happy to just play out lands also. Just do that. Because of the lands we've seen, yeah, I want to keep holding up these helixes. Because I think it's more important that we're able to interact with whatever our opponent does, more so than getting empty-handed for Hazard, because we'll get empty-handed for Hazard at some point anyway. Because I'm scared of Bolt, I'm going to uptick. And just do that. Just to keep them from being able to bolt Gideon down for free. I want them to dedicate a little more to it if they want to get rid of him. Ideally, I would like to just throw an emblem down to tell them they have to deal with him, but yeah, stomp, that's fine. So they're probably going to untap and stomp again, I guess. Or they might just untap and play a Bone Crusher, which is fine. Another stomp, sure. More than happy with that trade. You know, I think I'm just happy to play out Hazard here. My opponent's not doing anything. And I get to empty my hand next turn if I want to. And like, if they just play one of these Bone Crushes, I'll just Helix it, whatever. Bloodbraid Elf is fine. Nothing I can do to stop that. Oh, Pillage. That is also fine. So... I mean, I'm going to play out Needle Spires because I can still get empty-handed next turn. I want to leave this a surprise block. I don't think my opponent's going to expect that I'm going to be able to clear 3 of these cards out of my hand. Yeah, that's fine. I really just want them to play out something else that I can throw a Helix out here. But if they just attack, I'm happy to just Helix this Bloodbraid and do nothing. Yeah. What is this? An Elder Gargaroth, okay. This Chalice is a bit late to do anything, but I can play the Chalice and still Helix. I don't know what 1-drops they can have at this point though. The other option is that I just hold up the Chalice for something to discard to Hazard it, which is probably better, honestly. So this Gargaroth wants to attack, and that's fine. If it does, I'll just Helix it and block with Hazard it. I feel like I'm somewhat in the driver's seat thanks to Hazard it now. Pillage my Needle Spires is fine. I kind of want to use the mana though. Yeah. Let's just do that. So that I don't have to waste the Simian, because the Simian's worth 2 damage, discard the Hazard, or I could potentially play it out as blocker. Bone Crusher is fine. Making a 3/3 probably. Okay. They drew a card with the Gargaroth, okay. So we'll Helix it. We will now eat it with the Hazard. They get to trample over for 2, but we Helix, so kind of breaks even. And now they have a Bone Crusher facing down a Hazard. I mean, I want to start attacking, but this Hazard is just keeping them from doing anything, I think. Okay, play at the Temple. Gets fix their next draw. I do like that. So I want to play at the Simian as a blocker. No, I don't think so. I think the Simian's actually better just being thrown at my opponent by the Hazard. So yeah, important to remember when we sideboard now that this is more of a Ponza style list, that my opponent does have Pillages, which we didn't see from our other red-green opponent. Yep, play out all the Bone Crushers you want, opponent. Yep. Just activate this, discard the Simian. I mean, we could eventually win just through Hazard activations, really. I'm going to stomp them so that it's not like we're taking a turn off our Hazard activations. Do I want to attack for 5? No, I mean, this Arbor Elf's just probably blocking. Then they attack and I trade with the Bone. Yeah, I think it's pretty fine to just attack with Hazoret here. But that probably means I should have stomped the Arbor Elf. That's a mistake on my part. This also gives them the opportunity to just stomp this Bone Crusher and get in for 8. But even if they do, I'm still ahead on life total, so I don't think it's a massive punt if my opponent does happen to have a bolt. We'll wait and see what our opponent's got in store for us, I guess. Blood Moon is fine. We are already prepared for a Blood Moon opponent. So if they want to attack with their Bone Crushers to get in for 4, we just get to trade with 1. So I don't think our opponent's even attacking, yeah. Okay. So we're willing to trade, so we are going to attack with our Bone Crusher. So they're priced into trading here, yeah. Which maybe meant they should have attacked last turn. Although if I didn't trade, then yeah, it's probably pretty bad for them. They take 5 from Hazoret here. That's kind of nutty. Because we're going to throw this at them, then untap and throw literally whatever we draw at them. Ooh, Scavenging Ooze is a good one. Thankfully they only have 2 green sources, but there is a lot in graveyards for them to eat. So yeah, I kind of need to draw Wrath of God here, or Cast Out, or Chandra. I need to deal with the Scoos pretty quick. Blood Moon does not do it. I'm pretty sure I have to attack here because it's kind of the same, right? Like they're going to block it with the Bone Crusher, and I just want to get a creature off the board here. I mean, it means they can eat a bunch of things with the Scoos and attack me with it, but I think I'm just as happy to start leaving Hazoret back with Scoos next turn. At least this way the Bone Crusher is not something I need to worry about anymore. It does give my opponent Scavenging Ooze more food. This is naming red, so they've got 3 green sources. Okay, so they've got 3 more things to eat. Not attacking with the Scoos is interesting. Oh, yeah, they're attacking with the Scoos, they were dead to my attack. That's a very fair opponent. But they're running out of stuff to eat. My Hazoret gets to block every turn on this Scoos. And I get to throw things at them. Okay, let's activate Hazoret. Yep, they can't attack. Back to me. I've got to be careful with discarding creatures at this point. Not that we have many creatures to discard. So let's Gargaroth, Bone Crusher, and that's it. So if I can avoid from discarding creatures, it's really good, which I can because my creatures are Emrakul, which I can just keep in hand, Bone Crusher, which I can cast as a stomp and leave in exile, or Simeon, which I can just exile. Okay. So they've just started exiling some of our cards from our graveyard now. They exiled our Chalice, which we don't particularly care for. So that is fine. Discard Temple. Plains has a little more value under a Blood Moon. Okay, I'm just going to keep throwing lands at you. Arbor, sure. Okay. Chalice of the Void. So yeah, next turn we win. We would have actually won this turn if I had discarded on, and there was an end step where I didn't discard and I just went back to my turn. That's why I have 2 cards as opposed to 1 every turn. If I had have discarded there, I could have actually just discarded in my main phase there and finished them off. Okay, I'm just going to do this now. I think this is trying to tempt me into blocking the Arbor Elf to put another creature in graveyard, but even then, like, they gain life back to 2 and I just dome them for 2. Okay, they didn't let me activate, they just scooped to that. So that was cool. We kept based on the strength of Hazard and it paid off. So our opponent is a mana deck, so I'm not interested in the Chandras. I'm interested in keeping the Simians in just as extra mana sources. What do I want? We saw Skoos yet again. We didn't see Clothis. I think I'm still interested in like doing this. Definitely taking out the Blood Moons, and I think it's just the Blood Moons coming out. So a Spyglass for a potential Chandra. Or a Rest in Peace for the Skoozers. I think because we have Wrath of God cast out, Nahiri, Hazard, we're pretty okay with Skoos, so we'll just bring in a Spyglass to potentially hit Planeswalkers and stuff, and we'll see what happens game 2. I'm going to keep, strangely enough. The second Chalice kind of sucks. Yeah, there's an Arbor Elf. But this Damning Sphere I think is really good. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in a land. Yeah, because I'm kind of banking on this Wrath of God. Yeah, I think because we're on 24 lands, I'm pretty happy to just top that. Yeah, depending on what our opponent does here. I mean, the Chalice actually look kind of bad now that I think about it, because my opponent gets to play out like all the stuff they'd want to play out right now anyway. And maybe the Damning Sphere doesn't even have value, but now that the Utopia Sprawls out, I actually like the Damning Sphere kind of breaking up this nonsense. Well, it's a Skoos, so this Wrath of God's looking good. And a Sin Divines. Oh my god. I just love Sin Divines. Well, I'm going to play out Damning Sphere to at least make them use Sin Divines. This is kind of rough. This Wrath of God will be good. And here will be a nice follow-up. It's kind of rough because the Cinnabar's going to do us a lot of damage, and they've got a very aggressive start, which I've like kind of accepted, and I'm like, this Wrath of God will buy me back in. Did my Damping Sphere not prevent that? I feel like it should stop that, right? Cast his parameter. Yes, it looks like it worked, but I don't know. I don't know how they got mana out of it. How they got coloured mana out of it. Sorry. Oh, I think this might have untapped the Stomping Ground. Sorry, that's probably what happened. Emrakul, what are you doing here? New. Jealous on 1. So we're going to take a lot of damage next turn. But the Wrath of God should be good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not even that much. Put us down to 10. The best I could do is Bloodbraid into something. No, see, they just got double mana off it. Shouldn't... Well, in that case, I'm cutting Damping Sphere. And I'm bringing in Rip because we've seen the Clothis now. So if that's not how that works, I am definitely cutting Damping Sphere. So again, like, this setup of Utopia's Scrolls and Divine's Clothis just means that Clothis is going to be active more often than I would like it to be. But next turn I'm going to play Nahiri to deal with that. Okay. Okay. I literally don't use my graveyard. Okay, so that cleaned it up a little. So they need 2 coloured pips next turn to be able to turn this Clothis, which could be tough with this Damping Sphere in play. Nahiri next turn is going to deal with the Clothis. We're going to 5. They got rid of my Chalice. Oh, does this deals 2 damage? Okay, cool. Nicely done, opponent. So I don't like these, and I like the Rips. I think we're cool with that. Love to play first. This hand is a good mid-rangey hand, so I'm going to keep. Because this should be a mid-range kind of matchup. Like, just the value in all these cards is huge. I'm going to leave that on top. Because worst case I can play it turn 3, like turn 2 stomp, whatever. Turn 3 stomp or whatever again. Like, I've got 3 2-drops. Or if I don't need to do anything on turn 2, I can play it there, and then turn 3 play the Gideon. So it looks like that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I mean, I've just got a lot of spells in hand, so the 4th land is always welcome. Means I can get empty hand for this Hazoret, which should be really good. Okay, is this going to be, what? Going to show me a Sin Divines or something, opponent? They're thinking. Ren and 6. Okay. Because they have Ren and 6, I'm tempted to just emblem this Gideon. Otherwise, I could throw a spell at the Ren 6. No, I think I'm better off just double spelling next turn. And if the red downticks... Well, actually, the Ren can't downtick on the Gideon, because I'm going to uptick on the Gideon on the Ren. Because I was going to say, the Ren plus a Bolt deals with Gideon on 4 anyway. But if I prevented damage from the Ren, then it can't do that. So they need to spend 2 relevant spells here. It's like a Bolt and a Stomp or something. Next turn I'm going to Bolt, Helix and Stomp their Ren and 6, I believe. Yeah, it gets me close to empty-handed, then Hazard comes down shortly after. Maybe if they do nothing, this Gideon just wants to get in at the Ren. I don't hate that. Okay. Okay. Kinda wish I had a sweep, but to be honest. Okay, let's make him a boy. Let's attack at Ren and 6. This should force a chump block. Cool. So now I think I'm tempted to double spell the Ren, but if I kill the elf and Helix the Ren, or even Stomp the Ren, I Stomp the Ren, it goes to 3, it'll go up to 4, so then I still have the option of these two. I don't think this Arbor Elf matters as far as our opponent's mana goes. But I also don't think this Ren matters at the moment, so let's just let our opponent have the turn and see what happens. Like, I let him have 5 mana this turn, but I'd rather the option of dealing with the Ren and 6. Okay. Bone Crusher, sure. Bloodbraid, sure. Who's attacking? You two, huh? No blockers. But I am going to stomp you. And then I'm just going to Helix you. Now, if I draw exactly Simeon, Hazard gets to attack. Otherwise, yeah, so with that, I'm going to make him a 4/4. Attack Ren and 6 just to make sure it can't get to ultimate anytime soon. I don't think I want to be the aggressor and attack them. Cast Bone Crusher. Pass back to our opponent, see what they want to do now. They did attack the Gideon, which I I only realized when I animated him to attack. So maybe they have a bolt for him. Maybe they have a stomp and they're going to attack him with the Arbor Elf again. I think I'm okay with this. I think... I mean, they've still got 5 cards in it, so that's not a great hit necessarily. But they'll probably get 2 elementals out of this. But yeah, so they're probably going to use Bloodbraid to try and finish off Gideon here, so I'll stomp it. The other option was they hadn't activated Ren 6 yet, so I could have stomped the Ren 6 to death, but I think keeping my Gideon's more important than getting rid of their Ren. Also, we can see maybe this Bloodbraid doesn't attack Gideon for some reason. They discarded 2 lands, which is a little crazy, unless they've just drawn nothing but lands. Okay. Where's this stomp going? At my Bone Crusher? Oh, and Ren's going to down tick to try and finish it. In that case, I want to stomp the Ren. So now that stomp essentially did nothing, and there's still just the option to trade their Bloodbraid for my Bone Crusher. Which, yeah, it's going with the Gideon. I'm happy to make this trade. I mean, these are essentially both half cards for us, right? Their Bloodbraid also cast a Bone Crusher, and my Bone Crusher also cast a Stomp. Yes, my Bone Crusher is a little bigger, but I'm fine with that. Oh, that's tempting. That's really tempting. So we each have a Bone Crusher we can cast. So we'll play Needle Spires. I'll play Hazoret. Yeah, so I'm going to attack them with Hazoret. See if their Season Pyre is interested in blocking. Okay. Just going to prevent the damage from this Arbor Elf to put me out of bolt range again. So hopefully they cast Bone Crusher here so I can Wrath and get in with Gideon and Hazoret. Just going to yield through turn here. So if I get in with Gideon and Hazoret, that's 9 damage. That puts them to 3. No, that puts them to 2 now. So Hazoret's activation's lethal. They're casting something. Ooh, they're exiling Season Pyro. That's even better for me. That makes his Wrath even better. What are they doing with 2 mana? Cindervines? Sure. Yep, let's cast Wrath. Sure, Cindervines gets me. Gideon's a 4/4. Get in. Do I want a Chalice on 1? It's pretty free because I can just discard whatever I draw to kill them with Hazoret if need be. this just stops them being able to bolt. I don't know. Stops them being able to play a Arbor Elf as a chump blocker. I don't really know what I'm trying to stop with it, but we'll see. So I've got 3 lethal attackers in the Neospires, the Hazard, and the Gideon on my next turn, and they can't actually do with it even. Awesome. Match number 3 in the bag is currently 3-0 with Sun and Moon. Match number 4 coming right up. Alright, looks like we've found an opponent, and time for match number 4. Do we get to be on the play again? We do. That's 4 die rolls we've won today, which is awesome. Not loving this. Partly because the Emerald Call, partly because we have these Simians and nowhere to go with them. We can't even Gideon turn 1. So we will mulligan, which is unfortunate because that was close to being good. This is a turn 1 Blood Moon, so we will keep. Let's put a card on the bottom. It's probably Nahiri. It's probably Nahiri, or we can just hope that we run a run of lands. And then we can discard bottom of the Helix. With Helix we can cast on turn 2. Let's go for broke bottom of the Helix. Hope that our Blood Moon is good enough that it buys us enough time to cast this Nahiri. We can't turn down turn 1 Blood Moon, and I'm hoping it's good enough that they don't do anything that I need to Helix. Okay, they bauble themselves. They Street Wraith. Okay, so the Death Shadow. Stomping Ground. Okay. So, this is a matchup where Blood Moon is really, really good. Okay, just got to draw 1 more land, and I think we are good for this match. Which is the reason I kept Nahiri, right? Is because, like, Helix is so low impact, and I'm just hoping that this Blood Moon does all the work that Helix would try and do. You know, I'm hoping my opponent just can't cast creatures. So the upside is, if Blood Moon is as good as I hope it to be, Nahiri is going to actually close out this game. Well, they're doing something, because I was asking them to pay costs. Okay. Back to me, I guess. Okay, drew a Helix, sure. Because they're Death Shadow, I don't think it means anything. I think I'm just going to hold this Helix. Is that just a cycling thing? Yeah, it is. Okay. I'm just going to hold the Helix, and the turn I go off with Emrakul, I'm going to use it for the last 3 points of damage. Land, 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 land. Okay, not quite. Try again next turn. Well, they are struggling under this Blood Moon. Land? Land? Awesome. I could see this being an instant scoop from them, but yep, awesome. Okay, game 2 against Death Shadow. They appeared to be Jund to Death Shadow. Let's just double check. Blood Crypt, Bloodstained Mire, Overgrown Tomb. Yeah, so they're Jund. So their graveyards are going to be important, I assume. So Rest in Pieces can come in. Ley Lines can come in. I don't believe I want anything else. So Blood Moons are really good. Chalices are pretty good. Like, it still stops them casting Death Shadows and stuff. Wrath of God's good. I think Anger's less good. I just don't think Anger's going to do much of anything. Because they're Death Shadow, the Simians are really tempting to keep in. I mean, I can see like Bone Crushers or Helixes not being good enough. Maybe it's the Helixes. I think I want to keep all my Blood Moons in. I think everything else is looking pretty good. I could see trimming a Chalice potentially. Let's go with... I'm definitely cutting 2 Helix. So likely I have like Tarmogoyf stuff, so the Stomp is pretty good. The Bone Crusher body can block. Maybe the life gain's relevant. Yeah, let's try cutting a 2-in-1 split of those and see how that goes. Go to Mulligan, Emrakul's there, and Leyline isn't. This hand also doesn't have Leyline. It's got Chalice, Rip, and Blood Moon. And Chandra. But only 1 land, but we're on the draw. We get to scry. Second land gets into Chalice and Rest in Peace territory. And it's relatively safe from hand cape because we have double Rest in Peace with the Chalice and the Blood Moon. We have like 3 relevant bits of hate. The Blood Moon's probably going to be too slow. But they are a hand hate deck, so mulliganing down to 5 hurts. But we have 3 ley lines to find. I think we keep. I think Chandra is less good than Nahiri in this matchup, so I'm pretty okay with putting the Chandra on the bottom, especially because we have a 1-lander here. We're already very weak to missing lands, and Chandra just makes us weaker. Okay, they're bauble targeting me. What's on top, opponent? Is it a land? So it's weird. They have the fetch land, but I suppose they probably don't have a Stray Wraith, so they're just getting information to make their Thoughtseize effect better. Yep. This is probably taking, I imagine, Rip or probably one of the 3 prison pieces. I don't know which one. We've got double Rips. So that's probably... It's probably less impactful than a Chalice 2. But maybe Blood Moon is just so good against them. No, they are taking the Chalice. Okay. Did we draw a land? No. Okay. So they knew about this Chalice and they still took our Chalice. So they must have another hand-aid spell for this other Chalice. Land, land, land. Show me land. Okay. We've got 1 more draw step to find a land without getting punished for our risky keep. But like I said, if I run as like double hand-aid here when I draw a land, I still get to play like a Rest in Peace, assumedly. And then if they don't have any more hand-aid, I get to play a Blood Moon, like if I hit run around a land, so... Thoughtseize, sure. I just mean, like, it's so... This hand is so fine against hand hate. Probably because it's got so many spells, right? Because it doesn't have any lands. But I don't know that going to 5... It's bad. I don't know that going to 5 works out for us any better, though. Like... I mean, our opponents kept 1 landed too, but they actually had 1-drops. I should have actually played this Chalice on 0, knowing about Mishra's Bauble. But I think I'm fine just getting these hand-hated. No, it just means they take a Rip, but I'm fine with them taking a Rip. I should have played a Chalice on 0. Land? Oh boy. Thankfully our opponent's not having a great time either, but like, if we could have hit lands, we could have this Blood Moon out already, and our opponent would be basically dead. Traverse gets to find them a basic, or gets to find them anything, right? They're 4 card types. So they get Foothills. They know about Blood Moon. So is this getting a basic? They got Foothills, so they can't get Swamp. They're getting Blood Crypt, so that tells me that red mana is important to them in their current hand. Oh boy. We have 24 lands and 4 Simian Spirit Guides in our deck. Well, 23 and 4 currently because we have a Temple of Triumph in play. But with that said, I knew the risks of keeping the hand that I kept. So look at this, I got a Tarmogoyf, so this Rest in Peace is awesome if I can draw a land for it. Like, we're still in this, thankfully. Discard to hand size, so it's going to be the Helix. So bad. Oh, maybe it shouldn't have been. Did that just put an instant in the bin for their Goif? It did. I mean, I knew that putting Bone Crusher in the bin gave them a creature. I had that in my mind. It should have been a Blood Moon because there was already enchantments in the bin. It's just like, Lightning Helix is the worst card in our deck right now. Like, I honestly wanted to leave in... I was tempted to leave in 4 Bone Crushers to go down to 1 Helix. Oh dear. I mean, we're not dead yet. We still, like, if we draw a land against play this Rest in Peace, this Goif sucks. But they could be holding up, like... Okay, they've got a Death Shadow. So a land here... Simeon. Okay, so the question is, do I want... I think I want to rip, because this Death Shadow realistically can't get too much bigger. Compared to, like, what this Goif's up to. Man, I'm glad I drew a mana source, but like Simeon was by and far the worst because now I don't get to like play a Blood Moon next turn if I draw a land. Clean to Dust, sure. My graveyard doesn't matter. Like, so they can potentially grow this Shadow. We're in trouble. But if I draw a land, I can stomp the Goif. This just sucks. Like, if I could have gotten Blood Moon down at any point, I would be looking pretty okay. Yeah, you got it. No blockers. No, we lost. We didn't find a land in however many draw steps we looked at. So that's fine. That was a risk I accepted when I kept that hand. I kept it based on the potential strength, and it didn't pan out. So that's fine. This hand sucks against hand haters like much more than the last one. We have 2 lands. We have a temple again, but we have like these. The Enchanter's not even great in this matchup, really. I'm gonna keep just because these two are both very strong hate pieces. Wish I could find a ley line, but that's fine. Play temple. Just looking for land here. Awesome. Put that on top. And pray my opponent doesn't have hand hate for some reason. Oh my goodness. They baubled me, so that again tells me that they're getting information for their hand hate spell. Just pass back to me, opponent. Yeah, you got a Thoughtseize. So it's probably taking the Rest in Peace, although they know about my planes on top. So don't know if that means anything, whether it means they want to take my Blood Moon or something. If they don't have another hand hate spell, this Blood Moon is going to be coming down on turn 3. I've also got a tough choice because I do have Chandra and Wrath of God in my hand, so it's like, is this Arid Mace getting a Plains or a Mountain? Because I am intending to cast this Blood Moon. So if my opponent takes Blood Moon, that answers that question for me at least. But I think they've got to know how good Rest in Peace is against them. And I feel like they take it because it is on curve for me. Like, my Planeswalkers they can basically ignore for the time being. Maybe there's a consideration for Wrath of God. Nope, it's the Rest in Peace. That makes sense. So I don't want to play out the Mesa because I don't want to crack it, because I do want to hold up. I want to leave lands in my deck. I think because I have Nahiri, I'm probably leaning towards the second white source for the Wrath of God, because it's the unique effect, as opposed to the Chandra, which is the same as the Nahiri, kinda. So if they don't have Hand Hate here, they have to fetch for a basic. Interesting. Well, they're in the tank, so that tells me they don't have Hand Hate, because if they have Hand Hate, I feel like they fire it off and take away Blood Moon. Which might be why their Thoughtseize last turn took so long, because Rest in Peace is good against them, but Blood Moon is kind of backbreaking. Like, they can still do stuff under a Rest in Peace, like that's what happened last game, right? I played out the Rest in Peace and they just got Death Shadows out. Whereas game 1 I got the Blood Moon out and I got to like miss land drops for a few turns and still end up casting my Nahiri and winning. Just passing back to me, okay. Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting a white source now. So they might have like Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy and just be ready to like tap the mana and then destroy the Blood Moon, but I think I'm fine with that, especially if it's an Assassin's Trophy. Getting the 4th land to turn on all these 4-drops in my hand is really good. Yeah, look, they're getting the Blood Crypt, so they're going to float Decay mana. And then it is Decay, okay. So that's the one we didn't want to see. We would have liked to have gotten our 4th land, but that's fine. So I guess that's what our opponent was in the tank about. I'm not quite sure. This Gideon should be really good though. Gideon and Wrath of God is a combo I really like in this deck, because the Gideon forces them to have more than one threat, so the Wrath of God then gets to be a 2-for-1 more often. So they've dealt with our 2 good hate pieces that we had. I feel like Gideon's a good hate piece against them as well, though. So they'll have to deal with him. Nahiri is potentially going to come down and be a win condition. Wrath of God is very impactful. Chandra is less so. But if the game gets long enough that I've cast the other 3, she's a really nice backup plan to have. Although, I mean, at this point, she doesn't even... Yeah, she doesn't deal with Shadow, she doesn't deal with Goyf. Come on, opponent, what else have you got? Okay. They grabbed another Shadow, but they didn't play it? Sure. I'm gonna make them play into the Wrath. I don't know what this Blood Crypt's up to. I can't imagine it can deal with this Gideon in any way, shape, or form. No thank you, Death Shadow. There's the option to hold the land to make them think that I did that because I'm missing a land drop, which I don't actually hate, as crazy as it sounds. Like, the 5th land does nothing for me. I'm probably discarding it to Nahiri anyway. So I'm going to make them think that I was forced into that play by not... Because they know about these 3 4-drops in hand, right? Like, there's Gideon and there's Plains with 2 unknowns in my hand. So, for what little advantage it's worth, I'm going to pretend that my hand is just gummed up now. Like, basically make them think their hand hate is really bad. Clean to dust, sure. Yeah, just make them think their hand is really bad because I have a bunch of these spells I can't cast that I was priced into playing this Gideon because he's a 3-drop and I haven't found my 4th land yet. Or maybe it makes them play hand 8 because they think I might have another like 3-drop something. Yeah, I mean this is really good, right? Like they know about these 3 and the Inquisition does try and grab this last card, which is the land that I could have played. So already paid off. I mean that Inquisition was kind of dead in their hand anyway, but maybe they had other things to do with that mana. But now this reminds them that I've got Wrath of God in hand and stuff. But yeah, do you have another bolt? You're joking. Alright. So that was a pretty good draw, to be honest. Now they can't cast spells, so this Wrath of God is going to mop up this Death Shadow next turn. Unless they have exactly Street Wraith Team of Battle Rage. Because Battle Rage doesn't even do it because it's only an 8/8. So it drops me to 3. So they could also have Bolt. Bolt or Battle. They need Bolt and Battle Rage. No, they have nothing. Okay. I honestly think I want a Nahiri here. This puts her further... This, like, slows her down by a turn of ultimating. But I'd rather hold on to the Wrath of God, I think. Next time, if I don't draw a Red Soul's Chandra, if I don't, it's Leyline of Sanctity. And we win the match. Alright, our opponent can't get out from under the top deck Blood Moon. 4-0 with Sun and Moon. This is awesome. We've got one more match to go. Let's see if we can mop up the 5-0. Alright, we found an opponent. Let's get match number 5 underway. Let's see if we can win the die roll yet again. That's 5-0 on the die roll wins. That's a good sign. Okay. So this hand gets to play a Chalice on 1 on turn 2 no matter what our opponent does to us. It's got a Helix as well. It's got a backup Chalice. Let's see how that protects from hand hate. Also, potentially I can play 1 on 1 and 1 on 0. I think it's pretty good. Also, we've got win conditions, which is always nice. So we don't have to get our opponent under a lock and then slowly do nothing and frustrate our opponent by not actually being able to close out games. Elf. Oh boy. Okay. Let's get Sacred Foundry here. Okay. Let's just deploy the Chalice on 1. Next time we'll Helix this if they can't do anything, or if they play... Actually, this Chalice kind of... Whatever. The Kevin makes that Chalice suck a little more, but who knows? Maybe we draw a Blood Moon and get to turn that off. But yeah, if they play like another Charge Druid here or something, then I'll Helix that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's eating a removal spell. Ooh. I could Chandra to kill it, but then this thing gets to kill my Chandra, so I'm not a big fan of that. Gideon doesn't do anything, so yeah, we'll just kill this. Next time we get to play our Chandra. Is that a Kena? Temple to the Grandfathers? It is. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm fine getting other land out of our deck. I've got the Simian to cast the Chandra regardless. Ooh. So there's no way for me to cast Gideon this turn, even though I can exile Simeon and uptick Chandra because he costs a lot of white mana. So I think the play is to just Chandra, tick up. Aww, I wish I could cast the Bone Crusher Giant. Oh well. I mean, they just get to attack her back down to 4 here, but... Oh, this is a Coco? Oh, snap. Okay. Well, I mean, nothing about my hand could really have dealt with Coco anyway. I think it was better that I didn't, like, down-tick my Chandra or anything. Bloody Cavern of Souls. Ruining my fun. I mean, any sweeper I could draw would be dope right now. Well, I'm not dead this turn, but that's kind of scary. Is that going at Chandra? Yep, cool. This stops her from being able to down-tick and kill Azuri. Here he doesn't do anything. I need to find a sweeper. Sure. I can cast Stomp, I can cast Gideon. Just his ability to regenerate any other elf is really annoying. I need him gone. What? What have you got? Oh my goodness, another Coco. Okay. That could have gone worse. I still need to find a sweeper. I'm not dead yet though. So maybe I just play the Bone Crusher. It's either the Bone Crusher or the Gideon. I think the Bone Crusher stifles their attacks a bit better. So let's go with that. They've still got 3 cards in hand. Hopefully they're out of crazy cards like Cocos and stuff. Another Azuri. Oh, that's not good. I need Wrath of God. It's not Wrath of God. It is not Wrath of God. Let's just not show them the Gideons yet. Another Nahiri, that doesn't do it. This is bad. Pretty sure I'm dead to the attack with the Azuri trigger, but let's just make our opponent show us they're working out. I mean, I have 5 sweepers in my deck. This is unfortunate. Okay, yeah, that's Azuri activation being held up. Not winning this game. Let's go to game 2. So, Blood Moons don't look at their best. Chancellors are honestly fine. It's just that Cavern of Souls are so egregious. Spyglass to name Azuri seems fine. Damping Sphere to slow down their explosive start seems fine. None of these other spells do anything. I also kind of want to cut like Gideon. Because what does Gideon do? He doesn't really do anything except be a win condition. I would honestly rather these, but like maybe I should be cutting to Chalice. And the deck's full of 1-drops. I think I just want Chalice. Let's bring in these. Yeah, all these spells do nothing. Let's do it. Okay, so we got an uphill climb to try and get our 5-0 here. I hate this Emrakul in my hand, but I love this Anger. I'm going to keep, as crazy as that may seem. Like, this is fine, it just protects from this Chandra, so if we draw in a Hiri, we've got it ready and waiting, I guess. I don't know. What are we looking for here? Simeon? Not particularly. I'd rather an actual land than a Simeon right now. Also, important to note, we didn't really see, like, black mana in our opponent's deck. So it's pretty safe to assume that they're not bringing in Thought Seizers. I'm stopping here just to slow them down a bit, by the way. Next time we get to play a tap land and hold up Stomp again, and I'm not really looking to anger this early. Like, I'd rather them just, like, slowly, like, maybe play 2. Yeah, see, this is fine. Like, we just let them chill on this, and then we get to, like, play out a Chandra if they don't dedicate enough to their board. Ooh, Temple of Triumph, don't mind if I do. Untap land. Simeon, I'll take a Simeon at this point. Nahiri, yeah. But I've already got the Chandra. I think I'd rather potentially find an untapped land here, so that I can Chandra uptick Bonecrusher Giant and still, like, hold the ability to anger. We'll gladly take one. Do I want to stomp that? I don't think I do. I think, like, I'd rather... So if I draw a land, an untapped land, I can Chandra and then stomp it there. Otherwise, I can just anger this if I want to. Okay, so we drew the Nahiri anyway. This is a pretty fine position to just anger. It's not what I wanted when I stomped this Llanowar Elf. It's like the bots I was looking for, but they missed a land drop. So that tells me that that Llanowar Elf was pretty important to them. So it looks like they're missing a land drop again here. Yeah. So we are just going to kill this as well. Just keep them choked on mana. I don't... Yeah, we'll play out this land. I was going to say I don't know if there is any advantage, but there is, because next time we can 4 mana Nahiri. This +2 from here, we can Bonecrusher. Okay. They found another Visionary. Maybe they find their 3rd land finally? No, okay. So this Visionary doesn't really do anything, right? Yeah. Actually, let's leave. Whatever, I kind of messed that up a bunch of times. Let's play Nahiri. We will discard the Emrakul now. Find Damping Sphere. Huh. I think I still have to play at a Bone Crusher this turn to keep this Visionary from getting frisky at either of my Planeswalkers, because they're both next turn going to go up to 7 and 8, which is what they need for their ultimates. So keeping this Visionary base pretty important. I'm happy to play the Daemon Sphere next turn though. Okay, that's game number 2 for us. Looking at the sideboard again. Still nothing I really want. Like, this Gideon's close, but like, I don't think it's better than like Chalice even on the draw, so we'll just go with that. Game number 3 of match 5. Okay, we've got some Simians, we've got a Helix, we've got a Demix, we've got a Chalice. This really needs a sweeper. This hand really wants a sweeper. But I'm going to keep, based on the strength of turn 1 Damping Sphere or Chalice. Or even Helix, potentially. Rather than trying to kill their creatures, trying to keep them from casting their creatures could be good. Elvish Mystic, sure. So they didn't lead on Cabin, so that makes me want to Chalice them here. Yeah. So this stops them from casting multiple 1-drops next turn, same as the Damping Sphere would do. And it potentially tempts them to play out a Elvish Archdruid, which our Helix is going to be happy to mop up. Lead the Stampede's fine. So this means next turn we can Damping Sphere. I'm kind of tempted to like play at the temple. Yeah, let's do that. Let's play at the temple. Try and find some action. Another Helix. What did they hit with Lead the Stampede? Scavenging Ooze and Eternal Witness. Scavenging Ooze and Eternal Witness makes me kind of want to look for a sweeper or a planeswalker. They've got 5 cards in hand. This is tempting because Helix is a really good card here. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm buying enough time with my prison-y stuff that I can afford to take another removal spell here. So, which means I'm probably ignoring this Elvish Mystic and any other mana dorks they play and just hitting like relevant things. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you to Turtle Wizard back that lead the Stampede. If you want to sit here and durdle, I'm happy to play that game. I forgot to play my land last turn, I think. Oh no, it's turn 3 now. No, not like pay 2 life. Because like this lead the Stampede, like they haven't found a Cavern of Souls yet, so any 1-drops they draw are dead draws. Lead the Stampede, sure. This gives me a real question of whether I want to kill this Witness to save me potentially taking 2 damage ones, plus if I draw like a Planeswalker or something, I'm going to want to cast it. But if I draw a Sweeper, I'm going to want to potentially cast it as well. This is their turn 4, so they have missed a land drop. Maybe I kill the Mystic because it puts them under more pressure from a Damping Sphere. I don't hate that. Like, I denied killing it for so long, and I set up all these prison stuff. I set up all these prison pieces and basically went, okay, I'll ignore the Mystic and kill the important stuff, but this is constraining their mana so much that I think them missing a land drop, killing a mana source is good. Bone Crusher's pretty interesting. So yeah, see, when they got 2 1-drops off their last lead, the Stampede, they also got Wilt Leaf Liege, which is definitely something I'm looking at killing if it comes down. So we can double spell here, but I'm not really interested in double spelling. I'm not going to kill this Ewit. I'm not interested in killing an Elvish Visionary either. Which they didn't draw a land off, so that's good for us. Arid Mesa, okay. I probably should have stomped their Ewit just so I could have put a Bone Crusher into play. I'm just waiting for something better, which is not happening. So I am just going to stomp here, just to give the option of playing Bone Crusher next turn. The reason I didn't stomp is partly because I yielded through the turn and I didn't want to like try and undo it in case it went to my turn. I yield through my whole turn. I realistically should have just yielded to their end step. Okay, Scoos is something I am interested in killing. What just happened there? Look, if I float red and I say add this, pay that. Oh, because I've already cast Stomp, that's what's going on. Okay, that makes sense. That was a mistake. So let's start by helixing you. Yep, 80 creature, that's fine. Let's cast our Bone Crusher. Oh, that's okay. Still waiting for that to resolve. Bone Crusher. Cast. Okay. Punished a little way our Demi-Sphere there, but with that said, we weren't doing anything with the mana this turn anyway. And like, we haven't really been punished. Our opponent's still only on 3 lands. These Okinas don't seem to do anything. And they have to discard their hand size. They haven't drawn any relevant creatures. They got a couple of Visionaries in play. And I've just drawn Wrath of God. Awesome. So they do get 2 turns of chump blocking here. But, I mean, they do have 7 cards in hand, but we're in the part of the game that I wanted us to get to. Well, ain't that bullshit. Mana, Wiltleaf Liege. Okay, that's gonna draw out my Wrath. Let's see if they want to trade. If they trade, I won't Wrath. But yeah, this is the part of the game I wanted us to get into. Because my top deck should be on average better than theirs. They do have 6 cards in hand and they finally found their 4th land. But I still think this is in our favour. We just need to top deck something. Like, top decking Planeswalkers or Sweepers here is just really good. We've got 6 Sweepers left. Sorry, 8 Sweepers because we brought in those Chandra's. And we've also got those Wincons. We have those 2 Chandra's. We also have 4 Nahiri Steel, 2 Little Chandra's, and a Hazoret. Well, Spell's Guide's annoying, but doesn't really... Like, this board just is irrelevant to Nahiri. Okay. Drawing land isn't ideal. but we'll hold on to it for another card to discard to our next turn. So this is great. This Nahiri gets to like start ripping through our deck now to try and find more win conditions or more sweepers to kind of steamroll this advantage. Draga Warcaller. Oh, okay. Huh. Oh, wait. Do they pay counter souls with that? Yeah, they did. Okay. I just saw this activate and got excited. My bad. Okay. That's good. Let's do this first in case we draw like 6 mana Chandra or something. But this Hazard's going to keep their elves at bay. Or they attack and I just get to eat them up. Because they have to swing both their elves at Nahiri next turn. Which Nahiri's going to take 3 from the Mystic, but I'm going to eat the Draga Warcaller. This is getting intense. But I mean, even if they get to hit Nahiri for 3, she's still on 5, their board becomes pretty irrelevant. Azuri's kind of rough for us. But yeah, they have to attack. I'm gonna eat this. They get to regenerate it. But that's fine. Zuri's trouble. I'm going to play the Temple to see my top card to see whether I uptick Nahiri or if I downtick on the Draga. Put on the bottom. Yeah. I'm just going to exile Draga here. So that gives them 3 power. They can't yet activate Azuri's overrun ability. And even if they draw a land or they choose to just attack with Azuri, Hazard still looks really good as a blocker for that. Like Hazard just gets to trade with Azuri there. It's like this is the 5 mana they need to activate to make this a threat here. Lead the Stampede is fine. They shouldn't be able to do anything too crazy this turn. Okay, another Mystic, sure. Okay. Do I want to hold this Mesa for Nahiri? Like, is the 2 damage even worth it? Or would I rather have a guaranteed card to discard? So I really only get punished if I draw 6 mana Chandra and I can't, like... No, I think it's fine. Okay, let's start here. Discard this extra Damping Sphere. Lightning Helix is a good draw. That Spellskite is kind of a problem though. Do I just Helix a Mystic? Is that crazy? Well, he currently doesn't have mana up to protect them. No, they still just redirect to Spellscout. What am I talking about? So Helix wasn't a great draw then, I guess. It's unfortunate. So I think I just hold this Helix. Man, this Azuri's looking good again, which is unfortunate. We really need to find a sweeper. Hazard's holding down the fort pretty okay. They're not attacking. I think an attack would be really beneficial for them there. That was a pretty good draw. I'm going to discard this Helix, because this extra Nahiri could still draw us into like anger. Not with Damping Sphere in play, it can't. Okay. I still think the Helix doesn't do anything for us though. This is kind of rough. Is this a chord? How does this deck have room for Coco Chord and whatever that other card's called? The card they've cast a million times this game. Lead the Stampede. Oh dear. We're in trouble now. Yeah, they're attacking me, so I want to block the Azuri. So which means I want to activate this. I don't know if it's lethal. So I'm going to let Moto do the maths, because it turns out math isn't for blockers, it's for the computer program that you're playing on. It's 5, so they can only activate once. Is that still lethal? That looks like it's still lethal. Yep, they got us. That was so close. So very close. Alright, so we went 4-1 overall. I'll be back shortly with the wrap up. Alright, so that went pretty well. We went 4-1. The mana base looked good yet again. Gemstone Caverns didn't come up. Needle Spires never came up as a man land, but it's proved itself in the past. Bone Crashers felt good again. Helix is good as always. The sweepers were good. I think in that last matchup against Elves, we kind of wanted one more sweeper, but we've already got 9 targeted removal spells and 5 sweepers, so it's kind of fine. Like Simeon's, like the 24 lands actually. Blood Moons were good. Gideon's did a bit of work. He provided a clock for us in one game. Other games he kind of was a distraction, which is what I've always liked about him. You know, like your opponent's got one threat in play, so you play Gideon, you uptick on that one threat, so they have to play a second threat, so then they play into your Wrath of God, so you get to Wrath and then get in for 4 with the Gideon. His emblem I really like for specifically like ad nauseum. Like it's an emblem they have a lot of trouble dealing with. Hazard was fantastic in this league, honestly. I've always liked my one of Hazard in the sideboard since I've moved it to main. She's been doing a lot of work. I'm really impressed with this card. She did as much as she possibly could every time I drew her, and I didn't really have any issues with her getting stuck in hand like I have in the past, so maybe that's luck. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the slightly different configurations is helping out there. I'm not sure, but she did really well. Chandra nearly fantastic as always. Emrakul. The Chalices did a bit of work. Again, like them and Blood Moon are the main prison pieces. Moving on to the sideboard. Again, like I don't think I've ever drawn this Wear Tear. I've sideboarded it a bunch, but I don't think I've ever drawn it. Ley Lines proved good. I think there was a matchup against, I think it was regular Jund, where they proved very, very good. Didn't draw them against Death Shadow Jund, but didn't really need to. The Rips, again, like Modern is just leaning more and more towards the graveyard. These could be main deckable potentially, I think. There's just so many matchups where like I don't want to bring them in because it's not a graveyard matchup, but they do enough with their graveyard that it provides a lot of value. Even just bringing in 2. Stoney's didn't come up. Chandra's, I brought them in, never drew them, whatever. Spyglass was nice. I think the second copy is still questionable. I don't know that I actually need 2 copies of this in my sideboard, but for the matchups where I need it, like I could see there being matchups where like I really need this kind of effect, so the second copy's fine. I don't know what else I'd put as my 15th sideboard slot, so they're fine for now. And the Damping Sphere's proved pretty good. I'm not sure, like, if someone could tell me the comments about the interaction with Utopia Sprawl land and Damping Sphere, I actually thought that a land with Utopia Sprawl, because the land is being tapped to provide 2 or more mana, that it should produce colours instead. But that doesn't appear to be how it worked when I versed Ponza with it. So if someone could let me know, that would be great. I did get punished a little for my Damping Sphere, but like I said, at the time in our match 5 against Elves, it didn't really matter. Confused me for a bit. Like, I probably should have got an untapped land so I could have done the stomp when I wanted it to or whatever, but I didn't draw anything that punished me for it, so that was fine. But yeah, overall, like, we went 4-1 with this, which is awesome. We've improved again from our last league, which we went 3-2, and the list feels strong. Like, we versed 2 red-green mid-ranges, one which felt like the newer kind of build, and one which felt more like a classic Ponza, but that was just because we saw pillages. We versed a Jund and a Death Shadow Jund, both of which our prison pieces felt good. I also think, not to toot my own horn, but I think the sideboard plan of cutting Simians in those matchups is really, really good, and it's something that a lot of Sun and Moon players don't consider, is just cutting the Simians and making all of your top decks really good. Obviously, sometimes your mana relies on Simians, but the mana base we run with our lands is intended so that we can play on curve. The Simians are mostly just attempting to speed out the Chalices and Blood Moons, so cutting them in a matchup where we're planning to play out on curve is kind of fine, and where we're bringing in like Rest in Pieces and Ley Lines and all these other hate pieces that we're like overloading our opponent with all these things they need to deal with. You know, being able to do that while still leaving in like our spot removal and stuff and our sweepers feels pretty good. Yeah, so we won a few chests for that. I'm not one to be able to contain myself, so we're just going to open the cool stuff that we got. Open Soul Swallower. Okay, that's kind of junk. Open these one at a time, see what we got for our troubles. Spiteful Prankster, okay. More play points, always welcome. Open another one. More play points, a mountain, a Curse of Stalked Prey. It was 5 mountains, sorry. Next one, more play points. Ooh, we got a fancy Temple Garden. And a Hanged Executioner with no artwork, apparently. Oops. More play points. Branching Evolution. Murderous Rider, that's somewhat playable. And lucky last, we got Shiny Impetus and more play points. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any tips or tricks for me, let me know. Like I said, if you can help me out with that ruling, make sure to let me know in the comments. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed this league. Appreciate you watching. And until next time, bye-zy.